All right, let's try this again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our extra point segment here on 2 Minute Drill for week number 13. And you know what? We tried this once before, and somehow the audio didn't come out. So I think it'll work this time. But anyway, if you guys caught us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Lexi2MD, or if you got the audio at 2md.lexi.com. So as I explained on the show, the number 2 and then MD 2minutedrill.lexi.com. So just some random thoughts, I guess, on week 13. I'll start with my Giants. They did what they should be doing, and that's rolling over teams like the Redskins. You can't, other than giving up chunks of yardage on the passing front to Donovan McNabb. Other than that, everything else went well. And now of course the Giants are have a rough go of it the rest of the way. They got Minnesota next week. Minnesota seems to be finding themselves, so you got to go to Minnesota next week, and then you still got Philly to deal with. You got Philly in 2 weeks, and then Green Bay, and then the Redskins again down at FedEx Field. So it's not going to be easy for the Giants, these last 4 weeks. But at least you were on the right note, beating the Redskins at home. So that was good to see. Of course, Jets and Pats still coming up, and I'm thinking the Patriots are going to win, but I guess with the way the season's been going, I don't know how many people it would shock if the Jets pulled an upset. But just some random thoughts. I thought that Cleveland getting their win, they showed that they're not just going to roll over, and that they're going to be a tough spoiler for some teams, and so Cleveland getting the job done over Miami. Now New Orleans in a battle, in a death match with Cincinnati. So I don't know if you'd be concerned about New Orleans at this point, or do you look at it the other way and you say, they're showing the mettle of a champion and pulling out, getting the wins when they need them. So I don't know. You could probably go either way. Chicago and Detroit. Chicago, I obviously their offensive line is giving them problems because Cutler in certain games gets killed, but they beat the Lions, and maybe not convincingly, but they still won. They're 9-3, and they're on top of the NFC North. So you got to give them that. Whether or not that sustains them into the playoffs, who knows? But Green Bay on their heels at 8-4, and there's two teams actually in the NFC with 9 wins: New Orleans and Chicago. Atlanta has 10; they're the only ones with 10. But New Orleans and Chicago right there. So it'll be interesting, that fight for the number 1 seed in the NFC, probably between those 3 teams. But in any event, let's see, as I go through here, I'll talk about the AFC a little bit. Kansas City, with maybe not the prettiest win over Denver. They win 10-6, but they're still 8-4 and still looking pretty good right now, especially with San Diego losing. So, kudos to the Chiefs. I'll jump back to the NFC and Minnesota. Minnesota, big winners over Buffalo. I actually contemplated picking the Bills. I did, but good thing I didn't, because Minnesota, rolls with it. And even though Favre got hurt, and who knows what his status is for next week, but looks like Jackson was serviceable in this game, and Adrian Peterson, even with the injury, 3 touchdowns. So. And like I said, the Giants go to Minnesota next week, so that'll be a big game in the NFC. Jacksonville, they lead the AFC South now with Indy falling, and I'll get to Indy in a second, but Jacksonville getting it done. Now Tennessee, of course, is falling apart. Kerry Collins got the starting quarterback, but it didn't matter, and so their sink is kind of, the ship is sinking in Tennessee, but Jacksonville gets the job done there. Oakland, and I didn't think Oakland would win this game, but they're showing some fight. 6-6 after 12 games. I'm not sure how many people outside of Oakland would have imagined that, but they get the job done. San Diego, I thought they were going to run the table, but now they got to play KC next week, and basically they have to beat Kansas City to have any shot at the division. But in general, just to stay alive for a playoff spot, pretty much a must-win game against the Chiefs next week. So St. Louis, they get their win to stay in pace in the NFC West with Seattle. Both the Rams and the Seahawks are 6-6. Dallas, I wish I could say that I wish I could say that I could pick Indianapolis to win 40-0 in that game, but Dallas now 3-1 under Jason Garrett, so you got to watch out for them. Even if they don't make the playoffs, they're gonna spoil somebody else's season here before it's all over. It could have very well happened to the Colts here. We talked about Seattle, Atlanta, and Tampa. Atlanta, like I said this before on Thursday's show, Tampa to me had a lot more to prove than Atlanta. Even if the Falcons lost this game, they still would have been 9-3 and still right there at the top of the NFC. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay, I think, had something to prove. They have not beaten a winning team yet, but they at least hang with the Falcons 28-24. Now a loss is a loss, and Tampa's going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to fight in the middle of the pack with the rest of everybody else for a playoff spot and positioning. But Atlanta, getting the job done and proving that they belong at the top of the NFC, at least for the time being. And of course, the Sunday night game, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, two teams that don't like each other very much, and you could see that, but. Pittsburgh winning it, and this is why I don't place a lot of emphasis on home and road, especially when you have two evenly matched teams like this. To me, you pick the best team, and so Pittsburgh proved to be the best team on this night, and so each team winning in the other team's building. So that's why, like I said, I don't place a lot of emphasis on home field advantage. Now, if you've got one team that's clearly better than the other, then that's a different issue. If you got say Atlanta, let's say NFC South, for example. Let's say Atlanta, 10-1 against 1-10 Carolina. Then that's a different issue. You don't care where the game is. Atlanta, you're going to pick Atlanta to win. But in a game like this, you throw home and road out the window to me. So there you have it. But that's it. Just like I said, we talked about the Monday night game. And it's going to be interesting because, like I said, in the Northeast here, from a Jet standpoint, I don't know if the Jets lose this game. Do the Jet fans kind of jump off the bridge, or do they say, "Okay, we lost to New England. Let's pick ourselves up and move on"? So I think that'll be the interesting reaction to see from the Jet fans if they do lose. If they win, obviously, then they're going to be talking Super Bowl. But if they lose, we'll see how the Jets and the Jet fans respond. Should that happen? So there you have it. My random thoughts for Week 13. Thanks to you guys that listen to the audio. So I'll catch you on Week 14 and. Either on the Facebook page here or on Lexi, Lexi.com, 2md.lexi.com. So you guys take it easy. Talk to you next week.